So, because like we're just. Okay.
So we're good.
All right. Well, welcome to the Revitalization Trust Fund meeting for October 26th, 2023. We are doing a hybrid meeting, both from Town Hall and with Zoom, as allowed by the state regulations for public meetings. So we're going to kick off by basically introducing the new Economic Development Manager, JP.
So my name is JP Achalia. I relocated to Massachusetts in the end of July this year. I've been with Needham now for approaching the end of my third week, so about 2.5 weeks so far. So I'm getting a crash course. So far everything's going great. Meeting a lot of great people and going through the processes of learning all the different boards and different committees that are out there. Back in Michigan, I was a downtown development director and a economic development director for a community for about 16 years. I also wore a dual hat. I was the IT director at the end of my tenure there for about 8 years. So I would have to switch hats back and forth, but I'm well versed in economic development and different committees and public meetings and things like that. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to all the stuff we can do in the future.
Great. Well, thanks. And we're obviously delighted that you're here, and you are now a de facto member of our team, since you will be basically guiding us through each meeting through Zoom and our in-person meetings whenever those occur.
What is your first name?
Just JP.
Just JP?
JP.
Okay.
And then we'll get the exact.
I was going to say my last name is CACC.
CACC.
IA. G like George. LIA.
LIA. Great. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Well, why don't we start by, I can give you an update on the Elliott School celebration bench. We have, just for JP's edification, that we have a number of celebration benches. We basically oversee a program of celebration benches throughout the town. And we've been doing that for a number of years. We, at any given time, we oftentimes have an active project for a new bench in process. Right at the moment, we happen to have 2 of them. Actually, I should say 3 of them now. The first one is one that has been proposed for the Elliott School. The sponsor, we're waiting for an approval through the school committee, which should hopefully happen during this month, if not at the first of of November when they meet again. But basically, it's a bench that will commemorate a person who had started a run as a fundraiser for Alzheimer's disease. And so as soon as we get that approved by the school committee, then we'll officially, publish the details of it. But, we work with whichever individual oversight group is in charge of a particular area. So if it happens to be something that the select board is, oversees, and that's them. If it's Park and Rec, then we work with them. And this happens to be the schools, school committee, so that work with them. So we get to know a lot of people in town. but it's just a wonderful thing to be able to create these celebration benches and for people in the town to be able to have the experience of walking around and seeing these, little elements of sometimes whimsy, other times just thank you. And it just makes it so that when you get a real experience of how active the community is and how caring the community is, that they want to be able to give something back and celebrate the life of somebody who's been very meaningful to oftentimes a lot of people. So that's what we're doing. So the next is the update on there's the update on the From Needham to the World, the November display. Jessica has been the ringleader for being able to pull together all the information for the different people that we feature on the profiles. From Needham to the World is a program that was created to be able to help the kids of the town, maybe as the focus, but adults also, to recognize that, you know, sometimes people think, well, Needham's a sleepy little town, and, you know, not much happens here and that kind of stuff. But as we've proven, when we started to pull together a list and found that we had more than 60 people who had gone out into the world and done amazing things, from astronauts to gymnasts to, you know, to the one that's up right now, Life is Good. There are just a whole variety of different things. And we just might have a sports person coming up for November. So, who might have won, you know, 3 Golden Gloves and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. So, you know, he was. We're excited to be able to bring that forward. And actually, the graphic designer Seymour Levy and I met with one of his sons. He's passed away, but one of his sons, to be able to get a whole group of photographs that we could use for this. We've also talked to Jessica, made the connection to the Boston Red Sox organization and got us photos from there. She's made contact with a variety of different people to be able to pull all the stuff together, and she's
that's awesome.
and as well as written the profile that tells the story. So Jessica, do you have any other interesting elements you want to be able to add in? I know you've been away for a little bit, but it's, you know, it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you covered it pretty well. He was a pretty interesting person, did a lot of interesting things. I'm actually looking out my window. I can see where he lived. Actually, it's right across the street from where I live. So, very nice man. I remember meeting him in his later years. But he has passed, but his kids have been very nice and very cooperative, and they're looking forward to it. They seem really touched and honored that we're doing this. So I think it's a nice thing.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's cool. And as I said, you know, we wanted to be able to have these examples up. So when people walk by, they go, oh, that person's from Needham. And then they get to read the story. The next person, it also has a QR code in the corner where you can scan it. And we actually have to, one of the things, Jessica, if you want to do a little research as we wrap this thing together, is finding a video that you think would be the right thing, you know, through YouTube or whatever the source is that we can link to, that people would really get a kick out of it. It'd be great. But there was a photo that we really wanted to get, which was this gentleman, basically, because this will sort of a little bit give it away, but he tagged out Willie Mays. And we wanted to get that photo, but Sports Illustrated wants a lot of money to be able to reproduce that. so we couldn't. Hey, there he is.
Hey guys.
Welcome. And
thank you.
we only did a couple of agenda items in, and so we haven't missed much, except I'll pause just for a moment to be able to allow you to be able to introduce.
I'm JP.
What's up, JP? I jumped in like right as you were introducing yourself, so I've been listening for a little bit here.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, great. So anyway, the thing we want to do is be able to come up with a video that they can scan when they're standing at the poster, and be able to you know, learn more about this sports research.
That's awesome.
So that's.
We didn't officially vote on the September.
We can go back and do the meetings.
Yeah, we're gonna go back and do that now.
Okay.
Anyway, so we can do that. And probably let's get the one agenda item out of the way that we had at the beginning, which is we just need to be able to approve the minutes from the September 23 meeting. And so propose that we approve and accept the minutes from the September 23rd, that's September 2023 meeting. Do I have a second?
Yes. Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. The notes are approved and and we're all set. Let's see. Next, we've got an update on the newsletter. Well, so one of the things that, and the postcards, one is that let's see, probably what's today, the 25th? Usually around about the end of the month, on that Sunday, we publish our newsletter.
Okay.
And so it'll be coming out. The other piece we've done is we have put together a postcard that should be coming out shortly. That will be mailed out to about 80 people, 85 people that donated to the Revitalization Trust Fund in the past before we were collecting emails.
Okay.
So all we had was just name and addresses because they would just send in checks, and then, we wouldn't have a way to be able to reach them directly without sending them something like this. So we wanted to be able to get them onto the mailing list for the newsletter. And so this postcard basically has a picture on the front that's thanking them for being a donor. And then when you flip it over, it gives you two options. It tells them about the newsletter, and then it gives them two options. One is a QR code that you can scan that will take you right to the link to join the newsletter. And then the second has the actual web address of needhamma.gov /NCRTF. And when they go to that page, right on the right-hand side of the page, it tells them where they can join the newsletter. So those, so anyway, so that's what we've got from, for that in the works, and I will let everybody know. And actually, hopefully I will get a postcard in the mail, since I'm technically on the mailing list so that I would make sure that they.
You actually got them, yes.
Yeah. So do you know anything more about that, Eric?
About the mailing
Oh, yeah,
with Adam?
yes.
No, I haven't followed up with him about anything. I mean, you and I haven't discussed anything since I thought they were going out. I'm happy to follow up with him if there's anything we need to.
Well, I was just gonna call him and say, or email him and just say, what do you think, when are they being published, and just so we get an update as to, when it was happening.
I can do that for sure.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Be great, because this is basically a good time to be able to get it kicked off as we're going into the holiday season. That'll allow us to be able to connect to hopefully significantly more people, and we'll continue to promote joining the newsletter and so on.
Let me reach out to him and I'll circle back with that.
Sounds great. Let's see. We have the next is another one of the benches, which is we have a bench that has been approved by Parks and Forestry for a location on the Amity Path. Just so you know, Amity Path is the path. If you go to, do you know what? I'll give you some jargon so you'll get familiar with it. But the PSAB, which is the
Yes,
Public
yep.
Service Administration building, that there's a pond there.
Yep, I walked that.
Yes, and that's the Amity Path.
Okay.
So there's a spot on the path that's been picked out for a bench. And this bench is incredibly cool because it's all carved out of granite.
Oh, wow.
And it looks like a stone that's been, carved to, be a bench. And it came from a connection where the sponsor, their mother loved to walk the Amity Path. And she's starting to get to the age where it's more difficult for her to be able to do that. But they also happen to have relatives who are in the granite business up in Maine. So in fact, their company and one other are the two oldest granite purveyors, basically, I think, in the country. So they thought, how appropriate would it be if we could be able to have them make something.
Oh, that's really cool.
So, yeah, so, I'm just waiting for a couple of, details, to be sent back to us for the images. They've already created an initial, photorealistic image, which saved me a lot of time, because usually I have to create these things, and they send it over to me. But there's one more view of it, that we need, and so they're working on that, and then we'll take this, project to the Board of Selectmen, to the Select Board, and for their approval at, whatever the time is that we have. Spring would be basically when this would happen anyway, so we've got a little time. But that's another really exciting bench, and I can't wait to see it in person, because it's very cool looking. And Ed Olson has been really excited about it too. Were you raising your hand or just stretching?
No, I've got a couple of people leaving my office. I apologize. We had a busy day today.
Just wanted to make sure you weren't raising your hand. If you were, I wasn't ignoring you.
No. Although there is a raise your hand thing on the Zoom that I didn't realize.
Yeah, that's right. So one of the next things on the agenda, which is the voting, is that we originally had done a trellis at the post office at the time that we had the short hose bench placed at the post office. And this is a project where I literally had to get in touch with the Postmaster General to be able to get it approved, to be able to place something at the post office. But the reason it was important to be at the post office is because this bench is dedicated to a gentleman's father who he is from England, and his father would go to the post office. He loved the post office, and his father would go there, and he developed relationships for the post office in England and all the people there. And so when he would come to visit his son, who lived just down the street from the post office, he would walk up to the post office just to be able to say hello and connect and do that kind of thing. So he thought, wow, what a cool thing would it be if we could actually have a bench, a celebration bench on the post office, right? So that's what we did. So now, when that was put in, we also did a trellis that modeled the curve of the windows that are on that side of the building. And it lasted a number of years, but it was made of wood and eventually disintegrated. So what I found was I've got another trellis, which is very similar to the one that we had, only it's made out of powder coated steel. So it will not be similar.
Yeah.
And that I've already talked to the post office, and the manager of the post office there has already approved being able to replace that there. And so basically it's the new trellis is $300, but it should last basically indefinitely, because no matter what, even if it got chipped or peeled or something like that, we could always just repaint it and it can remain there. So when we do that, we'll also do a little work on the bench, clean up the bench more, and also move it in a position where we can have some stones underneath and prevent grass from growing underneath and so on. So we'll do a little tweak. So basically what we're proposing is that we would allocate the $300 from the Revitalization Trust Fund funds to replace the trellis at the post office. And so basically we're proposing to do that, and we should have a little discussion just to see what you think about it. As far as the funds go, we have the resources to be able to do it. So that's having the money for doing it is not as much of the issue as other than just getting a consensus that this would be the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, any thoughts?
I mean, I think it's a great idea, right? It's the wood one has lasted for long enough. I think it's time to replace it with something more permanent, no?
Yeah. Okay, it's gone now, so it's been a few years since it's been there, but we thought if we could come up with a long last. Yeah.
Paul, this is in Needham Center as opposed to Needham Heights, right?
Right. This is in Needham Center. It's at the main post office.
I'm
right.
trying to picture it. I usually go to Needham Heights, so I'm not there very often. So I'm trying to picture where was it and where will it be? Is it sort
Well,
of
it's-
facing Great Plain Ave or?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, if you look at, there are, I forget whether 4 or 5 windows that all are along that wall,
Mm-hmm,
and they all have curved white tops.
mm-hmm,
And this follows the curve of that, and where we had it before was done to do exactly the same thing. It sits right between like the 2 center windows there, just a few inches out from the wall. And in the spring, what we had before is we had some climbing, I don't know, if it's hydrangea or something along that line, that would climb up through it and would flower. And that's basically what we're looking at doing, you know, as we go. Joe from Hillcrest Gardens was the one who did the plantings. So we're actually, you know, actively looking for another partner with the Revitalization Trust Fund who, you know, could work with us to be able to do those things. You know, we don't do gardens and those kinds of things, but this is something where basically, other than the rain and some periodic watering to get it first going, that the vine part of it lasted quite well. There was a structure that was climbing on that didn't hang in there.
Yeah, it would be nice if we could do the landscape along with it, with some perennials and stuff that would come up, you know, year after year.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what we had before. It looked very pretty, and it really, you know, they're so short-staffed in terms of being able to, for their maintenance and so on. They basically have maintenance people who rotate through the different post offices to be able to mow the lawn and things like that. So it's tough for them to be able to keep it, you know, as nice looking as they would like. But you know, these things would require the minimum amount of maintenance, and so basically, other than you know, mowing the lawn, it, you know, it spruces it up. It looks more positive, and you know, it's just something, instead of just having it be the blank wall and the bench sitting there, that we can make the bench look a little more, you know, more attractive, although people do use that bench quite a lot. You can tell by the fact that because the bench was set back, rather than more forward towards the sidewalk.
The grass is all like worn out.
Yeah, it kills the grass, right? So we wanted to originally do that, but for whatever reason at the time, they wanted it set further back. But you know, basically the bench has moved its way forward, not by our, you know, sneaking it forward, but but by, I guess just even the people who were mowing, they moved it forward. So, you know, we're just gonna see if we'll, you know, line it up with the trellis and be able to have it so they could seed where the wear places are, and then in the spring, be able to have it all set up so that it can, you know, have a long lasting appearance, and also with some of the stones underneath it, that it won't get grass underneath, so they can mow around it, but they don't have to mow underneath it. You know,
What are you thinking for stones underneath? Like some sort of like paver or brick or
well,
natural stone?
Yeah, we've done something. I mentioned bluestone because people remember, you know, because it's flat and it's, you know, relatively thick, but it creates a good foundation. But something along that line, because we only need like 4 pieces.
Right.
To do the whole width of the bench, and so the bench is 6 feet wide, and you just need to be a little bit wider than the bench, so that when they mow, they're mowing up to the grass line of the stone. So if you have suggestions in terms of how we might do that.
Yeah. Cobblestone also works nice. They're a little bit more expensive, but it kind of gives a little bit more of a historic look with cobblestone. But I think you're going down the right idea with that for sure.
I think the only reason we hadn't thought about cobblestone was because, like, we did that in the town common, and that works great. But at the post office, it's a little more, it's like a 1950s sort of more contemporary look, and we want to line something up that you know, really ties into what the building era is.
Yeah.
So you know, think about it. We've got a little bit of time, but the first shot over the bow is just to be able to vote the allocation of the $300 if people are interested in. Any other thoughts, Jessica or Eric or Carol?
What,
Any other thoughts on
on that?
this?
No, it sounds great. Sounds
Yeah,
nice.
no, that's
I
great.
agree.
Great, all right, so then I'll propose that the Revitalization Trust Fund allocate $300 to be able to replace the trellis at the post office and to do a little bit of the bench work at the post office. And do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
All right, so it's official.
Got it?
Great, I think that we're in good shape. Any other things other than being able to set our next meeting? That any other thoughts or comments or ideas that we should be looking at or talking about? The piece that we are going to need to be able to get, actively going during this time. One is, of course, the postcard will help to be able to bring more people to the newsletter. But we need to think of some ways that we can launch during the November, December time to be able to rally people to donate to the Revitalization Trust Fund during the season.
Mhm.
So any thoughts off the top of your heads for something we could start to investigate?
Do you have any sort of holiday postcard mailer that you've used in the past that's been successful? Like a, Christmas / Hanukkah type thing that could go out to to the town?
Well, a couple things. One is that we found oftentimes that we were sending out about well, to mail to the town is an expense that's, beyond our pay grade. Right?
Right.
So that's because, there are 32,000 residents, and there are about 12,000 households. So trying to be able to reach, some kind of critical mass to them would be, $10,000 experience.
Sure.
So,
But social media potentially?
But that's right. I think that, being able to connect on social media, being able to put together some type of campaign.
Do you guys have your own like Facebook groups and things like that?
We do have a Facebook page, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And do you utilize that, or do you have like mailing lists for like, what is it, giving? Isn't there like a giving Saturday in the holiday season?
No, but that's an idea.
It's
forgot
definitely
what
the giving
date.
time of year for sure.
I thought there was like a day that's supposed to be like where all the nonprofits are, like they recruit people to.
Well, if there is, we definitely participate. So,
Here, let me see if I can find I just remember because some of the nonprofits, one of the boards I sat in, we sent out emails on it.
that'd be great.
Yeah, it's a big thing that they do, like,
Giving Saturday. or
yeah, it's like
something
Giving
that.
Saturday or something like that, where you're supposed to like give donation rather than buy things that day. You're supposed to take that money and donate it to a specific nonprofits that you support.
That'd be great, because I can also put that in our newsletter. Because that would be a great thing to be able to talk about. And
There was I think I brought it up once before, like months ago, and I'm not sure where we went, if anywhere, with it, but there was about a year ago a woman who happens to be a professional photographer, took this really beautiful picture of the hill at Memorial Field covered in snow with like children sledding on it. It was just a really pretty picture. And she put it up on Facebook, and so many people liked it that she started saying, well, if you donate at least $10 to the lunch fund at the Needham Community Council, you can have a copy of this photo. And it was just a copy of the photo. And, I got one because I loved it, and I put it in a frame and put it on my wall, and it's really sweet. Anyway, so that just popped into my head when you mentioned the holidays and sort of ways to get people to donate. I don't know if we had maybe a really beautiful picture of you know, the dancing children statue in the center or something like that. People might like to have that, and they might make a donation if they had that extra incentive of having this pretty photograph they can put in a frame that's sort of unique to Needham. So that might be an idea to get people sort of excited about it.
Well, I definitely have photos of the circular piece.
Yeah.
And we have the one that, the one we used in a number of different promotions, which shows a little boy with his hands clasped, and with a little girl, a little girl hugging one of the sculptures.
Mm-hmm.
So we could basically take that picture and be able to use that as a as a giveaway, and then we just have to figure out what size would people like to be able to do that, since we want to be given something that they can actually do that's useful.
It's Giving Tuesday.
Giving Tuesday.
It's Giving Tuesday, and it's November 28th, 2023. And givingtuesday.org is the website of the organization.
So maybe we can coordinate some sort of, online social media post prior to that, like a week prior to that, just like as like a reminder, like, hey guys, don't forget, yada, 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 whatever it may be.
Sure. Is that something you'd be interested in being able to lead the charge on?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Excellent. And I can supply you with photographs or whatever you would like to be able to have for the posts.
Yeah, I just need to be connected with whoever sort of like gets our social media out there. Is it still Amy or whatever?
Our social media basically is the Revitalization Trust Fund Facebook page.
Right, but who operates it?
It's our own Facebook page. So it's basically any member of the committee, we can just, basically take it. It used to be that Mary Ruth would do periodic publications to that page. But since she is no longer on the committee, that we haven't anybody to pick up the.
Yeah, to somebody else. I mean, all you need is admin access to the page.
Yeah.
And if somebody.
Right,
I mean,
that's
you
right,
just
okay.
share it as, it's once you share it, then anybody can post to it, which, I mean, I think that's. I always tell people, even if there's not a lot going on, even if it's old stuff, put stuff on there, because the more times people see it, the more people you'll get to follow the page.
So the prior fundraiser was actually on the Town of Needham page on Facebook, which has a lot of followers. It's very busy. So maybe we could post something there too, or, post something that directs people toward our page.
Right, yeah, that would be an Amy thing now. That's definitely her new role, is communications and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so we can, and she publishes all the news you need them. So, and she's been great about when we publish something for the newsletter, she'll also carry it forward within the town newsletter. And then we'll publish it on Needham MA, the Facebook page that is basically where a lot of communication goes on in Needham. So those are the three places that we basically have reached out to people and done that kind of thing. So Eric, what we can do is, why don't we touch base maybe during next week?
Yeah.
And
What was it? Tuesday the 28th is Giving Tuesday?
Yes, November 28th.
November 28th.
Tuesday?
Yep, it's a
Okay, cool.
Tuesday.
It's
Giving Tuesday.
Giving Tuesday.
So maybe we'll try to run something a week before that or 4 days before that with and then another follow-up.
Right.
Yeah, Paul, I'll put some thought into this and then circle back with you on this.
That would be great.
And Eric, let me know if you need a hand. I'm happy to help out with it too.
Okay, cool.
Great. We have the dream team. No, it's great. And being able to have, and we can set, we could set both of you up as administrators, so you could be able to work, in harmony with each other to be able to, one person does it one time, the other person does something else. If you want to be able to take this on as being something that we can do on a consistent basis, because obviously, you know, just as JP was pointing out, that you know, if you're consistently posting things, then you get more followers. And the more followers we get onto the, you know, obviously onto our own page, helps us. It also allows us to be able to continuously encourage people to join the newsletter, which gives us even a whole nother level of connection with them. And you know, the more we can get the word spread around about what we do and be able to encourage donations, the more cool stuff we can do. So, and I don't want to overstep in terms of, you know, saying, oh, here's the one thing we're going to do for Giving Tuesday. By the way, now you're the social media manager. But we do need someone to be able to take the lead in being able to do that on a consistent basis. And I can supply information, you know, to help, you know, to help you do that. And obviously, I can get you the administrative access to be able to do it also.
Absolutely.
So think about that. So Eric, you want to just give me a holler when you get some free time next week, and then we'll get you connected up with admin access, as well as talk about any other, you know, resources that we can use to be able to get out on social media.
Perfect.
All right. Awesome. One other thing we had on the agenda was just an update. The cultural Mass Cultural Arts Council had a public meeting that was held a week ago, a little over a week ago, I think it was.
Yeah, a little over a week ago.
Yeah, and which is where I first met JP, and I don't know how up to speed you are on what they're doing, but do you want to talk a little bit about?
I can do a quick overview of it. The town had been given some money from, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say Boston MPO, which is the Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is kind of like these groups that oversee, every large city has one. And then they give grants to communities based on arts, for roads, for everything, kind of gets funneled through this overseeing planning agency. Amy had applied for a grant, which was great. They got awarded to it. So they went through and developed this in-depth art plan. And part of those is you have to have public hearings to determine what the communities want. And the session for that was last Tuesday or 2 Tuesdays ago. It may have been when I was first.
Yeah, I think you'd only been here a week.
Yeah.
So.
It's going by fast.
Yeah.
And what that does is that then they're going to work and develop the final plan, and then the Arts Council, the NACA, will have a plan they can then work off for the next, you know, 5-10 years, and then hopefully keep that plan updated so that as projects get completed, new projects can get added into it, so that it kind of gives them a working block, as well as then it actually gives them the ability with the plan for some of other agencies. They might be able to apply for grants and things like that. So it's really nice they actually have a plan. It's great for them as an organization, and I sit on that board as well. So working with them and just making sure that the grant applications that people have turned in get reviewed, and then go from there. I do know there was one issue that the amount of money that they got versus the number of grant requests was considerable. There was a big unfunded gap in between there. So
yeah. Yeah, and by the way, we also we did apply to the NAC for the grant, and made it by the deadline. So because we had a person who you know, basically took charge of doing the grants, but he's left the committee, and so I was scrambling to say, okay, well, so based on that, you know, we want to miss any deadlines, and I suddenly realized that there was this deadline coming up that if we didn't apply, we wouldn't even get a shot at it, right? So you know, their grants have been, you know, basically they've been the only grants that we've ever received were basically from the Council for the Arts.
Oh, very nice.
So and this one is applied for also to help sponsor From Needham to the World.
Okay.
So
very nice.
we've applied for 400. We don't know what they'll be able to allocate.
Yeah, I haven't really ripped into that. I have my next meeting with them, I think, is in 2 weeks. Maybe it's either next week or the week after.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and I know that last year, when they were able to give us 400, that, they had gotten a larger amount than they had been funded ever
Yes.
before. So we don't know whether that trend will continue or not. But, you know, if there's any opportunity to be able to help, you know, supplement, on From Needham to the World or any of the other programs, that's a wonderful thing. And we'll, you know, any of the resources we have that can help us expand, and keep funding the things we're doing is welcome.
That's right.
So, yeah. So that's all we have for the agenda. And Carol, what would be the date for the next meeting?
Next meeting, November 28th. That's Tuesday.
Giving Tuesday.
Giving Tuesday.
That's right.
We want to do a Tuesday versus Thursday, because that gets into,
That
that's,
the
oh, wait,
28th is
I'm just thinking in terms of what happens with Thanksgiving and,
Thanksgiving is on the 23rd,
That would be the weekend after Thanksgiving.
the after Thanksgiving.
does that work for everyone?
Tuesday works, Thursday works.
Yeah, they're both okay for me too.
Okay. And the 21st gets into the hot.
Yeah, that's the bad week.
Yeah, yeah,
I would probably say the 28th or
work for you.
28th would work for me.
Okay, so the 28th it is, Tuesday, November 28th. 5 PM, same time, same batch.
I'll also plug on November 9th, there's the meeting for the MBTA communities up here. There's an informational thing that they're trying to get as many people to understand exactly what that entails and what changes that is gonna be.
I think from what I understood from Amy today, that they're gonna use a method very similar to the one that they used at the
Yes.
cultural arts public meeting, which is they'll have tables with people who are knowledgeable in each one of these pieces, and you can go around and ask questions. But there'll also be statements or information about it that you can put stickers on if that's something that
Whether you like or you don't like.
Yeah.
So it'll be like, you know, a statement, I like 4-story, you know, townhomes in this area. You'll be able to put a sticker like that, that's part of the plan or the density over here, so that they're kind of laid out so that when they're developing the plan, because I think it's 1,700, has to be zoned for 1,780.
total.
Yeah, right around 1,780 total units. Doesn't mean they're all gonna be constructed, but that's what the MBTA communities is gonna require zoning within a half mile of one of the stations in town.
So, and there are a lot of nuances to it in terms of, you know, looking at where the stations are located, you know, like the, the train station in the center of town already has a lot of multifamilies and those types of things all around it. So, and we just are developing, which will come online in the next month, which is the 16 new units, which are going to be on Great Plain Avenue, which is, you know, right across from my house. So those units, which are beautifully done, and integrated into the neighborhood in terms of they look like houses. And basically, it looks it's as close as you can get to making a 16-unit building that was just basically 1 story in brick into a 2-story colonial-looking building that has, you know, a lot of the character of the houses in the neighborhood. So they did a beautiful job of being able to integrate it, and I think that's one of the things that you know should be that will bring up in the discussions is, you know, if you want to be able to get more housing into some of these areas, that you need to be able to have some stipulations that the design of the buildings need to be able to be integrated into residential neighborhoods. They can't just put up a brick box and say, look, we've got, you know, X number of units in the place.
I like that you think that if they had their option, they would use a high quality material like brick and it wouldn't be just plain wood.
Yeah, really, really. But, you know, a lot of times, that's right, and a lot of times it's just a box. And there's not a real, you know, it's very efficient, it's low cost, and it meets the need, but that doesn't mean that, you know, the neighborhood is going to be benefited by being able to have something that completes, doesn't feel integrated into the neighborhood. I mean, the idea is, these are gonna be people's homes. And, you know, even though they're rentals, or not, because it's
Yeah.
not, it's
Yeah,
it's not gated to just rentals. Not like a, you know, like a 40B was very specific in terms of how that had to be rental. But with this, potentially these are gonna be places that could be costly. So, because one of the things that's also a, you know, a perspective on this is that the MBTA is looking for density around their train stations, so they get more people who will take public transportation, which strengthens their system. But if those are, but if the other thing we're trying to meet is a housing need, and all those units are, you know, 1.3 million, then, you know, are we meeting the need that we're trying to meet for the town in terms of being able to keep some of the stratification, you know, the different stratas of people being able to live in Needham who aren't buying. I just read the latest real estate piece that said the average sale in Needham for a house now is 1.64 million. I mean, you know, there are no starter homes, you know, which we used to have. Most of them have been torn down to be able to build, you know, on a lot that could handle a very expensive house. So how do we address that in conjunction with something like the MBTA overlay? And I think that's some of the discussion we have to have, even if the MBTA is not making that as a criteria. I think it's a discussion that the town needs to have in terms of what are we trying to solve. And I believe that at the last meeting, because my wife audited it actually, because I was in another meeting, that one of the questions that the consultant said is, when you look at this, you need to be able to figure out, so what is it that you are trying to solve? You know, what kind of, are you trying to be able to make it so that you can have affordable housing under this program, or are you trying to basically just meet the criteria that the MBTA says, which is, you know, 1,700 plus units within a half-mile radius of public transportation? And then where are those things? And what neighborhoods, if you already have a lot of density in one, but you have none in the other, wouldn't it make sense that the place where you want to be able to encourage that is in the places where they don't have any multifamilies or very few, because they have a train station that, you know, can really.
That can handle it, yes.
Yeah, that can handle it. So, you know,
That's for the residents of Needham to decide, because I can make an argument on, any way you want to put this, I can make an argument on it.
Yeah, no, that's right, but I'm saying these are the kinds of things that need to come up in these public discussions, and
that's why people need to go to it.
Yes, they need to show up, they need to go to these things, talk about it, bring up these concerns, and there's a committee that was formed with different people from different perspectives throughout the town. And they, as a group, will have a certain perspective on these things, but what we really need to have is, what do the townspeople really want to have this be? If it were a successful program, what would it look like? How would it address needs that are for Needham? Like this 16 unit building that we're talking about just a minute ago, the majority of the people who are moving there are likely to be, and this is one of the needs we were trying to be able to address, who are people who have downsized in their house. They want to stay in Needham, but they don't have any place to go. You know, the rental, you know, at $5,000 a month doesn't meet their need. And this one's designed to be much more affordable than that. So that's.
Where was it supposed to be?
So again,
Where?
that's the building right next to the Congregational Church. 1180 Great Plain.
Oh, okay,
which was Daystar.
yeah,
It
okay,
was previously the Daystar retirement home.
yeah,
But they've done a beautiful job in terms of being able to
Yeah.
renovate it and create space and it's, they'll have no problem renting. So, and that does have 25% affordable, which is based on the 80% median income
Mm.
criteria. And then the rest of them will be at market for that, but because it doesn't have any amenities, it doesn't have pools, it doesn't have, it doesn't even have a community room. So it's basically,
Which is good because it'll keep the HOAs a little lower because that's,
yeah. Yeah, no, that's right. So, well, these are all rentals. So there is no HOA, yeah. So that, but that can really work. So, and of course, it's literally half a block or a block away from the commuter rail, the bus, town common, a dozen restaurants right around the whole downtown, any of the services, all that kind of stuff. So you can absolutely walk. So anyway, I think that's basically a wrap. Thank you all. If you have any other final comments before we conclude?
yes.
Ready?
We're ready.
Okay, all right. Well, then I would move that we conclude the Revitalization Trust Funds meeting for October 26th, 2023. Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
We're out of here. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon, Eric and Jessica.
Good night,
Bye,
everybody.
Bye, guys.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you.
Hope to be in person next month.
Yeah.
We'll be here. Thanks.
Cool.
Awesome.
Bye, guys. Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.